Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Nerds can be ladies' men. Nerds can be ladies' men. Hey, and you know what? I know people be like, oh no, that's crazy because they nerds and everything. Come on now, come on. One of the things I do with this channel, and I especially do it on my Deep Thought channel, is just expand how you thinking. See, understand something. If you're talking about like getting with those IG models or those women who are all, you know, got the eyelashes looking all fly, well, yeah, it'd probably be very difficult. Very, very difficult, right? Okay, it'd be difficult with them. They can be ladies' men for one simple reason. They stay in their lane. Why? Because the important thing is not necessarily who they are, but who they dealing with. The type of women that are open. See, one of the things I don't like, I'll say it to anyone's face. I don't like when people be out here saying all women are alike. No, that means you ain't paying attention. You got different social classes, different races, different religions of women, different groups. You got different subcultures. Women don't, if you deal with enough women, you find, oh, wait a minute. A woman in this group behaves differently from that group. So what the nerd has to do, he can be a ladies' man just simply by dealing with nerdy women. Now I remember I said something about nerdy women on some video. I can't even remember the title now, years ago. I can't remember the title. And you know, some guys came back and like, oh, women ain't nerdy in anything. Well, yeah, they can be socially awkward. They can be into video games, anime, all of this. Y'all want proof? Go to any comic book convention. Now, I haven't been to a major one, but like in my county, they'll have one like a couple times a year. I'm going in there, it's nothing but young ladies in there, and they ain't in bad shape. They ain't all looking, you know, they might not, they be like doing a cosplay, all of that. And they be into just what's considered nerdy. One of the things that's happened, at least with that group, and you could really apply it to any subculture, but at least with that group, a lot of women, they on a nerdy thing. They buying the comic books, shoot. Going to my local comic book stores, to me, now it's normal for me to walk in there and see some woman in there, some young lady in there, usually with a man. Usually with a man too. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And some of them be looking pretty good. Some of them be looking pretty good. I remember going in there one time, there's a woman older, she had a nice pile, and she was looking fly as hell too. Look, the nerd can be a ladies' man just simply staying in their lane, staying in their group. In fact, that's their tribe. See, think about it. If you say you in a group, a subculture or something, and they having the conventions. They having the conventions. You got a few thousand women at different conventions. They got groups. Shoot, you got, I remember like my oldest son, he wanted to try out Dungeons and Dragons at this local games club. You know, they got all the board games and all of that. There was a few young ladies in there. I was like, get yours, man, get yours. He didn't like Dungeons and Dragons though. He's like, nah, I ain't feeling that game. He's more video games anyway, but they had that in there. There were some young ladies in there. A lot of, especially in younger generations, a lot of these young girls getting into it. In fact, that's a subculture. Gamer girls. Shoot, you got major like corporations trying to get that money out of them. Look, if a nerd, whatever he's into, some women are into it. A nerd can be a ladies' man, just be cool. And here's where the power is. It ain't even so much how he look, but it's relating to the women. So imagine that nerd still, you know, he keep himself in good shape. He dresses well, stay clean. He could probably click with that woman. He could probably click with her because it's deep. It's deep. And like I said, that can apply to any community. Shoot, you can get a young man on the autism spectrum because there's an autism subculture. It doesn't matter. No matter what group. Because in the world we have today, especially with social media, and despite what people think, people meeting up in the real world, they just have to find where they belong. They have to find where they go. Like I said, that example of using my son going to this local games club to try out Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, there were some young ladies there. I was like, okay, man. Give him that fist pound. I see you. But it's a real thing. And see, the nerd, he just had to stay in his lane, and then he actually has the conversation. You know, he pretty much just has to dress like he belonged there. That's it. That's the bait. And nerds ain't known for being like built like jocks or something. And if a woman's there, yeah, she's going to be looking because, well, she still has a functioning vagina. They still want boyfriends too. They still want boyfriends too. In fact, I've known some nerd girls, and the guys they got with, they weren't like, they weren't Mr. Goodbar. They weren't some Chad. It sure as hell wasn't no Pookie and Ray, right? They were just right there. They were just right there. And see, they tend to be open because the key for them, and here's some game for you, here's some real game. Women want to be able to relate to the man they're dealing with. So somebody who could have that conversation about comic books and different shows, different games, stuff like that, you already have that in because women want to relate to the guy. That's your mouthpiece right there. Shoot, that's your Riz right there, your rap, whatever term, how far you want to go back. You know, that's it right there. You already got an opening. All you had to do is just have a conversation, and you could have that nerdy conversation about, I don't know, the stars aligning or something like that. And she'd be right there like, wow, yeah. And then she adds something to it. They got the end. Now, if a certain nerd is smart about it, he can deal with a bunch of women because unfortunately there's some nerds who got some social skill issues. A nerd with just decent social skills, oh, he can work it. He can work it, shoot. He might even have his own game, comic book, whatever. He set up at one of those cons. It could be a local one. And shoot, he could just be collecting numbers too. Say, hey, yeah, oh, you like my art? Hey, you know what? Put your number in my phone too. I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's right there. Now I use the nerdy example, but that can be the case in any subculture. Like I threw out the autism thing. There's increasingly an autism subculture. You know? Well, they've been around for a while. You know, different groups. They just have a similarity, whatever. And that's one example. I always tell the story about when I was doing a seminar at this expo and had a couple goths in the audience. And I said, you know what, y'all done found each other, because one of the things I was talking about was just finding that complementary mate. Oh, they found each other, and they laughed too. They laughed, they were very good natured, because it depends on the group. It could be like a tattoo subculture, like everybody's like heavily tatted, you know? It's just a matter, okay, you can like be in that group, because understand, some people tend to stay in their groups, their cultures, their class, for one simple reason: familiarity. They can relate. The root word of relationship is relate. They already have something in common. The conversation's already there. You can just talk about what's there. That's very important. Now, I also gave some game as to how you can meet the right woman. Now, I wonder who, it was like I just gave you a softball. I wonder who got it. Anyway, that's all I have for right now. But really think about it. And like I said, I use the example of nerds, but anybody can use that example in whatever group that you're in. And I ain't saying be a ladies' man. Let me just be clear, because I always got to qualify these things now. Or be a player. Yeah, you could just find just that woman. All right? So that's all I have for right now. I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.